Jesus, I know you see what I'm going through. I know what I've seen you do other things for other people. Hello. It's me again. Yo. Hi you guys, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Deja Monique and we are doing a Bible study. Now, as you probably have seen in 2 videos before this, I was going to do Vlogmas. I changed my mind. Only because I just have a lot going on and just trying to, which I could actually go and batch a bunch of content and have it ready. I just chose not to, and that's okay. But I will be creating a lot more content for young mothers, single mothers, because I just want to show you, you don't have to go out and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to have your little ones enjoy the holiday, okay? Because you have to realize this is you have to know the reason for the season, okay? And it's not just Christmas and presents and Santa Claus. It's really like being together, enjoying each other, and sharing the little moments. And so I am going to make sure that I create a bunch of content directed towards that, so you guys can see, like, again, you don't have to have this aesthetically pleasing social media type of Christmas, because let's be for real, social media is not reality, okay? But anyways, we'll get to all of that later. Make sure you stay tuned for those videos, but let's go ahead with today's video. All right, so we are doing a Bible study, and as you can tell by the title, we are talking about how to trust in God. Now, trusting in God, let's just say it's hard, okay? Trusting in God is relying on Him completely. It is allowing Him to guide you completely. It is laying everything down at His feet, you leaving it there, and you not going back, okay? That is what it means. And it's hard. It's hard, and I feel like even if you're a baby Christian, or even if you have been on this journey for a very long time, relying on God, trusting Him is really hard, okay? You are tempted, you are tested, and you want to question Him, you want to ask Him questions, you want to give up at some point sometimes, and it's hard. But again, you will learn that trusting in God and relying on Him is the best thing for you. Like I said before, I'd rather be on this path than any other path, and I'd rather trust in God and rely on Him and all of this before I do anything else, okay? So I have a lot of verses for you guys, okay? And I just want to make clear that trusting in God, again, it's relying on Him, and it's relying on Him when times get hard. It's relying on Him when you're faced with challenges. It's relying on Him when your life is so chaotic. That is trusting in Him, okay? That is letting Him handle whatever you're going through. But let's get into these Bible verses. So the first verse is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. And is trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your way acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. So with that being said, is you again are laying everything down at His feet. You're trusting Him with everything. You're coming to Him with everything that you have on your heart, on your mind, and you're giving it to Him, okay? And you're not running back to pick it up. You're not running back to, hey God, did you see? You're not going back to it. You're leaving it there, and you're leaning not on your own understanding. That means instead of just facing life, facing these circumstances on your own, you are allowing God to help you, okay? And then in your own way, acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. So again, that is acknowledging Him and letting Him know, like, God, I can't do this. I can't get through this situation. I can't get through these circumstances. I can't get through these storms. And he's going to hear you. You have to get down on your knees and you have to pray to him. You have to give to him and he's going to hear you and he's going to make a way for you. Okay? All right, next verse is Psalms chapter 56, verse 3. And it's whenever I'm afraid, I will trust in you. Whenever I'm afraid, I will trust in you. So again, it's whenever you are down on your knees, whenever you are with your back against the wall, whenever you are just completely and utterly confused, you're trusting in him. Okay? You are allowing him to fix it. And it's crazy because I always see these beautiful stories of how people get laid off. They lose their home. They lose their car. They lose a loved one. And, you know, they come to God and they lay it down all. They lay all of their pain, their sorrows, their worrying, their stress, their anxiety. They give it all to God. And then he ends up blessing them with more than they ever could imagine. And that is trusting in God. They trusted in God. Okay? And again, it comes back to when they're afraid, when they're worried, when they're anxious, when they have so much on them, when they're carrying more than they can handle, than they can carry, they're giving it to him. And that right there. Okay? Another verse is Isaiah 26, verse 4, and it's trust in the Lord forever, for Yah, the Lord, is everlasting strength. Okay? And a lot of these are kind of, I feel as though repeating themselves, but it's more so just like trust in God. I mean, just these Bible verses alone have trust in the Lord, trust in God, trust in the Lord, trust in God. They're telling you right here, here's the blueprint. If you trust in him, he's going to fix it. If you trust in him, he's going to solve it. If you trust in him, he's going to get you through it. Trust in the Lord. Okay? Jeremiah 17, verse 7 through 8. This one here is, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, who hope is in the Lord. He shall be like a tree planted by the water, which spreads out its roots by the river. And will not fear when the heat comes, but its leaves will be green, and will not be anxious when the year is in drought, nor will cease from yielding fruit. And that right there says a lot too, because once you read it and you get a better understanding of it, you write it down. You write down these scriptures and you get a better understanding of what they're meaning. It like hits. It hits hard and you're like, oh, okay. That's what you've been trying to tell me this whole time. Okay. This is what I really need to work on. Like, they be hitting, okay? So with this, Jeremiah 17, verse 7 through 8 is, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose hope is in the Lord. So by trusting in him, God is going to bless you. Again, we talked about Job and how just his trust, even through all of the things that he was going through, God blessed him with more. Okay? So it's coming to him, trusting in him through anything or everything that you're going to. He's going to bless you. Okay? He's going to bring you out. And it may not be a physical blessing, but it could be a spiritual blessing. It could be a blessing with wisdom. It could be a blessing with the fruit of the Spirit. It could be a blessing with peace, with love, with all of these other things. So I feel as though a lot of people look to God because they want the physical blessing. And it's like, those are good too, but you can't take these physical, materialistic blessings to heaven with you. Okay? So, yeah, keep that in mind. But verse 8 says, he shall be like a tree planted by the water, and spreads out its roots by the river, and will not fear when the heat comes. So just imagine you being a tree, and you being planted, and you being still, okay? You believing in God, you're trusting in God, and you're just there, and you're rooted in God. You're rooted in your home. You're rooted in your family. And you not fearing when when the heat comes. You're not fearing when you're going through these circumstances. You're not fearing when you're faced with difficulties. You're not fearing and you're not struggling and you're not anxious when you lose a home, when you lose a job, when you lose a car, when you lose a loved one, when you're going through financial hardship, when you're going through a bad relationship, when your marriage is struggling. You're not fearing any of that, okay? Because you're so deeply rooted in God. You are trusting in Him, and you're not scared because you know that God is going to help you. You know that God is going to be there. You know that God is going to water you. You know that God is going to feed you. You know that God is going to hold you. You know that God is there, okay? And even when going through all of that stuff, even when the heat is hitting, your leaves will be green, okay? That's what it says. I mean, think about it. I know that during the summer, the leaves do turn green and all of that. But think about when fall hits and the trees start losing their leaves. The plants start, the flowers stop growing, all this, that, and the third. You gotta think that cold air is hitting, the season's changing. The season is changing. And imagine the season changing in your life. Your leaves are still going to be green. You are still going to have that love. You're still going to have that faith. You're still going to have that joy. You're still going to have that peace in your life. You still have other things, okay? And then it also says, you will not be anxious in the year of a drought, nor will you cease from yielding fruit, okay? So again, even with you going through so much, being planted, trusting in God, you are still going to be yielding fruit. All right, imagine that tree still sprouting apples, still sprouting oranges, still sprouting, I don't know what other kind of trees, banana trees. Do they have banana trees? I don't know. I know pineapples come from the ground though. So, I mean, imagine that you were planting, that threw me off, but imagine that even without even going through so much in your life, trusting in God and being planted in Him, you're still gonna come out on top. You're still gonna survive whatever you're going through. You're still going to be blessed, okay? So, one more verse, and then, yeah. So, Psalms 37, verse 5 is, commit your ways to the Lord, trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. So again, like I said, all of these verses say the same thing. Trust in the Lord, trust in God. Trust in the Lord, hold on. No, they all say trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord, okay? Trusting in God, He is going to bring you through it. He's going to bring you past it. He's going to bless you in ways that you can't even imagine, okay? So, yeah. Those are my Bible verses. I will list those down below. Another thing is, these are the questions you need to ask yourself as you're going through this, as you're trusting in God, as you're trusting in the Lord. Because again, you have questions. Everybody got questions. I'm coaching basketball, and I had to tell them, because there's one kid, and he wasn't understanding one of the plays we were going through. And he asked me, he was like, I'm confused. Oh, he literally said, I'm confused. I don't understand. And as Christians, we don't understand a lot of the things that God is doing in our lives. And I had to tell all of them, like, hey, I'm proud of him for asking that question, because if you don't understand, ask. If you don't understand what's going on, ask. And that right there shows so much to God, because it's like He wants you to ask questions. He wants you to understand. And even though we're not going to understand everything that God is doing, because baby, think about it, everything that God's doing, we're not going to understand it. But coming to Him and asking yourself, and asking God questions, it's going to help you. Okay, so let's get into questions that you need to ask yourself. So, am I seeking God's guidance in my decision? So, trusting in God is, again, coming to Him and having Him answer your prayers, having Him answer your questions. And it's going to Him, and before you make any decisions, you want to ask Him. Because trusting in God is that He's going to always lead you down the right path. And He's never going to lead you wrong. So before you step out of that door, before you change any plans, before you make any decisions, ask Him a question. Ask God, or ask for God's guidance. Okay, ask for His guidance, because again, you don't want to step out and go down the wrong path. You don't want to make the wrong decision. I remember when I was 19 or 20, and I was going to go buy my first car. I was barely a baby Christian. I don't even think I was really in my faith like I wanted to be. But I know for one thing, I was very, 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 very impatient. I wanted a car. Okay, I had my money. I wanted to buy a car. I wanted to do it. There was a car. It was cute, and I can't remember what it was exactly, but I wanted it. And something happened to where I couldn't get it. So I was very, very upset. I was very impatient, and I was very upset. And I cried because, again, I was young and I was dumb. But I wanted that car. I wanted something that's mine. Okay. And I remember the insurance agent that I was working with on to help me get a car, he ended up coming to me, and he was just like, you didn't want to get that car because it had been through so many wrecks. You know, they made it look new. So it had been through so many wrecks. And just think about it. If you would have got on a car, got on a highway or something like that, it could have broke down. I had just had my son, so he was not even a year yet. And I mean, just think about what could have happened. And I cried because I remember I wanted it. And I think I did end up like praying or just coming to God, like, bless me with a car. You know, it was like, God, you know my wants and my needs. Like, I'm here. Help me. Bless me. And not even a week later, there's a car. I seen it. I went. It didn't have a bunch of miles on it. It was basically brand spanking new. I ended up buying it. And that was the best car I ever had. But anyways, long story short, I say all that to say that before you need to make any decisions, go to God first, because you never know what God is stopping you from doing that could hinder you, that could break you emotionally or break you physically or hurt you mentally. You never know. So before you do anything, go to God in guidance, okay? Another question you want to ask yourself is, where do you struggle with trusting God? Okay, what areas of your life are you struggling in trusting the Lord? And then you need to pray about it. I know for me, let me be honest with you guys, I know for me, it's trusting in Him to bring me my person. And that's something that I struggle with. Not that I don't think He's going to bring me my person, but I had someone ask me a couple of weeks ago, and it was just like, what if you are meant to be single? Yeah, that kind of hurt a little bit, because ever since I was young, I imagined myself, married, and I imagined that fairy tale love story. And so for that question to even be brought up, it made me think like, ouch, I don't want to be. Like I'm like, no, okay? I had to have to come Jesus meeting with Jesus, because it was just like, that's not, no. But anyways, that's one part of my life that I struggle in, trusting in Him. Because do I worry or fear that I may be single, absolutely. Only because I just know what I want in life. And again, that's something between me and God. But yeah, so think about it. Ask yourself, is there any parts or any areas of your life where you're struggling and trusting God? Is it in a financial aspect? Is it a job aspect? Is it a living situation? Is it loved ones? Is it a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? Where are you not trusting in God? Okay, and that's something you need to sit down, write down, and have a come to Jesus meeting and talk to God about it. Because He's the only one that's going to help you get on the right paths to where you can trust in Him in those areas. And I'm working on it. It's hard, but I'm working on it. Because again, someone asked me, I think the same person asked me later on, was just, so, I can't remember the exact question he asked, but it was, do you want to get married, or do you want a relationship or something like that? And I'm like, it's in God's timing. It's in God's will. And he was like, but do you want it? I was like, I mean, yes, I want it, but again, if it's God's will, if it's God's timing, I'm waiting on Lord. I'm being patient. And I say that I mean it, and I say it sarcastically because I know how I feel and I know what I've been through. So it's just like, Jesus, you hear me? You know, I'm being patient and I'm waiting on you. You hear me? So yeah, you ever have those like, Jesus, I know you see what I'm going through. I know what I've seen you do other things for other people. Hello, it's me again. Yeah, that's how we talk to God. That's how we be having our conversations for real. Anyways, so those are the questions you need to ask yourself before you make any decisions in your life. Have you came to God with those? Okay, and then it's, where are you struggling with trusting Him? All right, questions you need to ask God, and it's not questioning Him as why me. It's questioning Him as help me. Ooh, I like that. It's not questioning God as in why me, but it's questioning Him as in help me. Help me to understand. Help me to get more clarity. And that's the questions that you need to ask. Because one thing that I started to pray for was understanding. And again, God is going to help you understand everything. We're never going to understand everything that God does in our life and other people's lives in the world. We're not going to understand it. Okay? So it's more so, God, help me understand what you're doing in my life. Give me clarity so that I can understand. Give me the wisdom to understand. And like, okay, for instance, when you pray that, God, if they're not meant to be in my life prayer, you know, ask God to give you clarity on why they shouldn't be in your life. Ask God to give you understanding on why they shouldn't be in your life. And then ask God to bring you peace on why they shouldn't be in your life. Okay? Because we ask that prayer, hey God, if they're not supposed to be in my life, you know, remove them. And then we get mad at God for removing them. We get mad at Him for removing them. But at the same time, isn't that what you asked for? God be like, isn't that what you not just asked me for? You asked me to remove them, and now you're mad at me because I removed them, but you didn't see them talking behind your back. You didn't see the evil plans they have for you. You didn't see the negativity that they're bringing into your life. You didn't see that on down the road, they were going to drag you down, drag you through the mud. You didn't see that, but I seen that for you. So why would I allow you, my child, to go through all of that? Oh, okay, now be quiet. So, ask God, even if after you pray that prayer, or even if after you make a decision and you come to God and asking Him, hey God, okay, I keep getting this feeling I need to leave this job. You know, if this job isn't for me, allow it to not be for me, but also allow me to understand, hey, this job isn't for me, and then allow me to be at peace of why this job isn't for me. And He may not even give you understanding. He may just be like, hey, You get called into a meeting, you're laid off now. But ask God to bring you peace with that, so you're not sitting here upset and wondering why. Okay? Ask God to bring you peace. So when that does happen, you're like, okay, thank you. Okay? And then, yes, of course, we're going to be worried and we're going to be anxious and we're going to be like, oh my God, now what am I supposed to do? I got bills, Christmas, the kid's birthday. Yes, we are going to be worried. But it's trusting in God. And that's where all of this ties into, is trusting in God when things like that do happen. It's trusting Him and allowing Him that these things happen for a reason. But you don't see what's on the other side of this door. You don't see what's on the other side of the seal. You don't see what's coming around the corner. You don't see it. But He sees it. So it's asking Him for clarity, understanding, and then relying on Him to bring that to you, to bring you that clarity, understanding. It's relying on Him and trusting Him that through the circumstances, through the storms, through the rain, through whatever, He's going to bring you out. Okay? And then last but not least is how to trust in God. Trusting in God through prayer. Okay? Again, that's coming, getting down on your knees and praying to Him, having that relationship with Him, that prayer relationship, talking to Him like He's your best friend. Okay? And that's studying your Bible. Okay? Getting into His Word. Yeah, this is literally the biggest study guide to life. Okay? Y'all ever been in school and a teacher literally hands you a study guide and it's the test, and really all you have to do is study the study guide and then go in tomorrow and take the test and pass, like the questions be in the same order and all. Study guide. This is literally the study guide. Okay, this is the study guide to the test of life. Okay, you just have to read it and you can pass. Duh. All right, and then remembering God's faithfulness. Remember that you prayed prayers before and you come to God before to bring you out of certain situations, and then years later you're living in those prayers. Months later you're living in those prayers, and then when you're going through something else, those are the moments and the times where you have to think back, like, okay, I've been through the storm once already. I've been through a situation once already. I've been through a bad breakup once already. God brought me out of all of that. So even though I'm going through this now, I know that God's going to bring me out of it. I know that God is faithful. I know He's going to show up. He may not show up when I want Him to, but He's going to show up on time. Okay? And then surround yourself with believers. Surround yourself with people that believe in God. And that's something that I'm working on, because I want to surround myself with more people around my community. And I've been really like questioning whether or not I want to start a Bible study here in the community. Because I always felt like there wasn't a lot of people around here that were on the same page as me, as in like wanting to start a Bible study, wanting to get closer to God. I feel like there wasn't a lot. I don't know. I'm still debating on it. I did join another Bible study group where we meet on Zoom, and that works. But again, I want that like in-person physical reactions, and you know what I mean? So yeah, but surrounding yourself with believers, that right there. Get into a church if you can. Join a prayer group, join a Bible study group. It helps a lot. They help draw your faith, your guidance, your trust to God. Okay? And then step out on faith. But remember, anytime that you step out on faith, make sure that you're going to God with your decision. Make sure that you are trusting in Him. And that's like Peter on that boat. He stepped out to walk on that water in faith, but as soon as he started seeing everything that he was going through, he buckled. And a lot of times that's how it is. We want to step out on faith and we want to trust God, but as soon as times start to get a little rough, we buckle. okay? And we try to do things our own way, and that's not trusting in God, okay? And then being patient and waiting. Now, one thing I will never, ever, absolutely ever is ask God for patience. Because remember, you will ask God for something. Whether it's patience, whether it's love, whether it's joy, whether it's peace, whether it's calmness, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new car, whether it's a new home, whether it's for new friends, you're going to ask God for these things. But He can't give it to you with everything that you have now. So that means you want a new job, you're going to end up losing the job you have. Okay, you want new friends, you may end up losing all of the friends that you have. You want a new car gonna break down. You want all of these things, but God can't give it to you while you have the things that you have in your life now. Okay, so one thing I said I will never ask for is patience, because God is going to give you a test to make you have patience. God is going to put you through a test, okay, so that you have no other choice but to have patience. You have no other choice but to rely on Him. Okay, but anyways, this is besides the point. Waiting on God is trusting in Him. And the more that you wait and the more that you be patient, that is helping you to trust in God. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close out the video here because I gotta make my kids some breakfast. So I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope I was able to help someone trust in God. Okay, so remember, trusting in God is relying on Him completely. Okay, no matter what circumstances, storms, or whatever you're going through, it's relying on God. It's having that faith in God that He's gonna bring you out of it. Okay, so yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe.